Hey everybody, David here, and today I'm going to be talking about Moon Knight episode 5 titled Asylum. And what did I think of this episode? Now we are all caught up with the critics. I haven't read a lot what critics or heard a lot of what critics are saying, but I am pleasantly continuing to enjoy what I'm watching here. Uh, One big thing that I was surprised about this episode is that we didn't get to see the third personality yet, which I'm like, guys, we got one more episode to go. When are we going to be introduced to this third personality? I'm worried that it might be a little too late by the end of it, but who knows? We don't know what we're getting in the final episode. But I was really enjoying the interactions with Steven and Mark in this episode and them going through memory lane, through Mark's memory, as we learn in this episode that Mark is the true personality that was first there, and he invented Steven as a way to not just protect himself. Well, I guess it was really to protect himself, which I'll get into. First of all, I want to talk about the hippo that we saw last week. She's the goddess, I guess, of purgatory in Egyptian mythology, where she guides people who cross into purgatory to find the afterlife, if you will. Tawaret, I think is her name, from what I'm reading here. Tawaret. So, first of all, I thought this character was fun to watch. A really good rendered CGI character for a television series. Obviously, Disney Plus puts a lot of money into these Disney Plus shows, like the Star Wars and Marvel shows. So it really shows when you see this character on screen. It looks like a character that could also be in the movies. If you wanted her to go over there, maybe in Thor: Love and Thunder, you'll never know. I mean, there seems to be some Greek gods over there, so maybe some Egyptian gods would just make a lot of sense to throw in there also. Like, get all the gods from different mythologies. I think there's Roman mythology. Also, the Romans also used to believe in gods. I don't know if they believed in the Greek gods, but yeah, so maybe you could grab some from there too. Who knows what mythology? I think India also had their own like gods, that mythology that they used to, or something like that, right? I'm not the biggest expert. My brother actually is more on ancient mythology than I am. So, but still, I thought it was really cool seeing this character and how fun it was to see her interact with them and guide them through their journey in this episode. I'm still a little curious about the back and forth where we see Mark talking to Dr. Harrow rather than the Harrow, Arthur Harrow, Ethan Hawke that we knew from the previous episodes. So to see him flash back and forth, like, okay, so what's going on here? Is this part with the psychologist with Ethan Hawke, is that like reality, or is the other one that we always thought was reality the reality? Now, I think this is in the MCU, so I think the reality that they're actually in is where they got shot, and this is all just happening in his mind. And I think when he goes back to Dr. Harrow, that's where he's getting. He's trying to have a conversation to understand more himself and what he has to do to help him get out of this situation, and he's just going with it now at this point. That's why he was a little bit more relaxed, except when he was going to use the pointy object to hurt himself. That's where I was like, is this real? But then he was more calm afterwards. So I'm guessing that's going on all in his head too. He can just flash back and forth to Harrow, the doctor, or he can flash back with Steven, because then Steven gets eventually into the room with Dr. Harrow and has a conversation with him, and that's how Steven learns the truth about his mother. So getting to see the hippo also, show the weights with the heart to determine whether or not if they could cross or not. I thought all of that stuff was great. All the stuff of them going through memory lane was great, and we get to see the origin with Mark and Steven. We get to see how Steven was created in terms of what happened, because we get to see one memory where Steven goes and sees, and it's the history of when Mark, I guess, got into a little trouble where his younger brother was killed in a cave because it was like water was rising. And then on top of that, we see how his mother started to change, to the fact that she started becoming more aggressive and abusive towards Mark. And that's when Mark finally created the character of, or created the personality of Steven, to help show a more lighter, brighter tone in his life than, dealing with his mother all the time. And so that was really cool, getting to see that aspect of it. And I was surprised too, because like abuse in a PG-13 type of Marvel series, we never got to see anything like that before. Aside from Daredevil, there was an episode where it showed Kingpin's flashback, but that was more adult, right? So you actually saw, you didn't really see it too badly, but you heard it a lot, where Kingpin's father started abusing Kingpin's mother, and in a flashback, and eventually Wilson Fisk kills his father. But in this, they didn't tone it down, but you could tell the sound effects of her whipping Mark when he was a kid, that was toned down a bit. But it was, to me, a little disturbing, because it's like, I was surprised that Marvel would go to that. I was surprised Marvel went to that area in a PG-13 type of series, and I applaud them. I think they dealt with it very well. So if you're a kid, maybe you kind of get it, depending on your age, but hopefully not too badly. Because Disney wants to make this for families, right? They want to, but sometimes you get into those hard PG-13 areas, and I don't think this was like Dark Knight or the Batman type of hard, but it was more than what most PG-13 Marvel shows and movies have done so far. And some of them have gone to some dark places, but I think this is probably the darkest a Marvel series, or even movie for that matter. I think the Captain America movies might rival what the subject matter of this has done. So I was surprised, and I really felt for Steven and Mark, because even at the funeral, he didn't go to his mother's funeral because of what she did to him for so many years, and Steven thinking that his mother was always alive and that he was always trying to call her, and that's why he never heard back from her. Like, everything's starting to make sense, and I thought that was really great. And then the ending, where they get close to this temple or something in the afterlife, and Steven and Mark get attacked by like people, I guess, that Mark killed from the past, and they have this really big fight on the boat, and eventually they beat them, and it looks like they almost won. But then, as someone grabs Mark from behind, Steven goes and saves him, and then Steven is the one that gets dragged overboard and into the sand, and we see him turning to stone, and I'm like, what the heck is going on, man? This wasn't supposed to happen. We got one more episode left, and you had to drop into the sand pit? Come on. That's just me talking to myself. But yeah, man, it makes me wonder what's going to happen next week. I mean, they only got, 50 minutes in an episode? Take out the credits, it's probably like 46 minutes, 45 minutes. I hope they can wrap this up, especially with the third personality. I hope the third personality doesn't come right at the very end. They've already hinted at it a couple of times that you're expecting it before the final battle, I would believe. But we'll see. I'm really liking the show a lot. I think this show is great and could end up... I still think I like WandaVision the best right now, but there is still one more episode. If this last episode can really go balls to the walls crazy, I think it could overtake WandaVision for me. But it's close. It's close. It's definitely up there with some of the best Marvel Disney Plus shows. WandaVision, Loki, and this one. And I would even put Falcon and Winter Soldier up there as well. I love that one too. So Moon Knight is definitely a worthy series so far, but I'll give my final conclusions on. I guess you're already getting an idea what my final conclusions are gonna be, but you'll never know. Maybe the final episode drops the ball, and I'm like, meh. They were going so good, and then they dropped the ball in the last episode, so it's an okay series. But right now, it's looking really good for the finale. I can't wait to see what they do. Guys, I want you to comment below and tell me your thoughts on this episode. Don't worry about episode 6 right now. We'll get there next week. But tell me what you thought of episode 5. Are you loving it just as much as I am? Are you loving it even more? Do you think this is like the best Disney Plus show already for you? Let me know. Or are you holding back until you see the final episode as well? I'm curious to know. And with that being said, until next week, guys, take care.